In this advanced English lesson with the news, we're going to read a news article together so you can speak English in only 30 minutes. Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started.
Our headline, how to stay happier this year. Imagine I said this to you, how to stay happier this year. Right now, if I say this, am I happy? What do you think? Yes, I'm happy, or no, I'm not happy. If I say how to stay happier this year, right now, I am happy. And we know that because of the word stay and the word happier. Happier is an adjective, but what type of adjective? It's a comparative adjective. It means to increase your level of happiness. So it implies I'm already happy, but I want to increase that level. So happier than I am now. And stay is another way of saying remain. So if I stay or remain, it means I'm currently at that state now. Comparative adjectives often use the word than, but not always. So you could say how to stay happier than last year. But in this case, it's either implied that you're talking about last year, you're comparing this year to last year, or it's just not important. So you can use then, is commonly done, but not required. Now let's talk about if this meant I'm not happy now. If that's the case, the headline would be how to get happy or how to become happy this year. So we're just using the adjective happy, not the comparative adjective happier. And we use get or become. Get is the everyday way. Become sounds slightly more formal, but you can use either one. And we use these two verbs, get or become, to talk about that transition from not happy to happy. Don't worry about taking notes because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. Now let's learn how to stay happier this year. Notice how it starts with I'm not. So we know that this is the words of the author. So this is written in a first person perspective. I'm not immune to the allure of resolutions. Oh, the allure of resolutions. So resolutions, this is specifically used at the beginning of the year. So January 1st, the new year, you set resolutions. Any other time of the year, you can simply refer to them as goals. So at the time of this recording, we're past the new year stage. So you could just say the allure of goals or goal setting. Now let's review allure, which is attraction or temptation. To the attraction of, to the temptation of. So it's saying resolutions are something that seems very desirable. So you want to move towards them. They attract you. Now, wouldn't be that common to use allure in your day-to-day speech, but the word temptation and in the verb form tempting is very common. For example, I said I was going to go to the gym. So this is your goal, your resolution if you set it for the new year. I said I was going to go to the gym, but it's so tempting to sleep in. So in this case, to be tempting. It is so tempting to sleep in. Let's review this all together. I'm not immune to the allure of resolutions. So if you're not immune to it, it means that you're susceptible to it. So it's possible for you to be attracted to resolutions. An easy way of thinking of it is unaffected by. So if you use unaffected, you need the preposition by, because if you're immune to something, you're not affected by it. So you can use unaffected instead of not affected. I'm not unaffected by the allure. So you wouldn't use this preposition to, it's only with immune. Unaffected by the allure of resolutions, the temptation of resolutions, especially health-related ones, which is why I gave that example of the gym, because that's what a lot of people set goals about. For about 25 Januaries, notice this, January in the plural because it's more than one. So it's the last 25 Januaries, which is another way of saying for about 25 years. It makes it sound quite strong when you think of it as 25 Januaries. So you could say 25 New Years, 25 summers, 25 winters, 25 years. So you can use something else as the noun, 25 vacations, 25 trips, and then put it in the plural with more than one. For about 25 Januaries, I vowed to drink 8 glasses of water a day. Using this verb vow is very strong because if you commit to something, if you promise to do something, but if you vow to do it, it means a very strong commitment or promise. It almost sounds like a contractual obligation. Maybe you even signed a paper that committed you. So you can think of it as a very strong commitment. We don't use it in everyday speech. You can use it to sound very dramatic. I vow to fix this problem. It sounds very strong. So if you want to make a very strong commitment or promise, you could say, I vow to become fluent this year. A very strong commitment. Does that describe you? If it does, put let's go, put let's go in the comments. I vow to become fluent. I love that. So in this case, I vowed to drink 8 glasses of water a day. And for 25 years, for 25 Januaries, I failed. Usually I'd make it only a few days. So in this case, I'd make it only a few days. This means I only did the action. I made it only a few days. And notice here this apostrophe D, I would make it, because she's talking about a routine action in the past. For 25 Januaries, she vowed to drink 8 glasses of water. And then all those times in the past, routine action, she only did it for a few days. Usually I'd make it, notice that very soft pronunciation, I'd make it only a few days before I reverted to drinking water the old-fashioned way when I was thirsty. So notice reverted. This means to go back to. So she had her current state, and then she has her goal to drink 8 glasses of water. But then if she reverted, then she went back to her current state, which was drinking water when I was thirsty, which sounds like it was less than 8 glasses per day. Let's continue. A few years ago, though, I resolved to do something truly different. Stop setting myself up for failure. Let's talk about though, because I know it confuses students. Native speakers use it a lot. It's a conjunction. It's used to contrast between 2 points. You can think of it as a positive or a negative, a success and a failure, something good, something bad. But with the word though, the contrast is often implied. A few years ago, though, I resolved to do something truly different. The contrast isn't here, but I understand it based on what I just read. The more formal way where you identify the contrast is to use although at the beginning of the sentence. Although I failed a lot in the past, which is what we read previously, although I failed, this is the negative. Now we need a contrast. We need something positive. I resolved to do something truly different. That's the positive. So often when native speakers use though, we don't specify both parts of the contrast because it's implied. For example, it's very common for a native speaker to say, thanks for your help though. Thanks for your help though. And we just add the word though at the very end, almost like an afterthought. Thanks for your help though. And we might even pause a little. This is very common, more common than using although, because it sounds quite professional, a little too formal. Now, if you use although at the beginning, you would have the 2 parts of the contrast. Although I don't need help, that's you can think of it as a negative, and now we need something positive. I appreciate your offer. Although I don't need help, I appreciate your offer. Now, you can say this in a casual way by simply saying thanks for the help, though. And by using the word though, a native speaker understands that the contrast is implied. A few years ago, though, I resolved, this is another way of saying committed, promised, or remember vowed, but that's a very strong commitment, strong promise. So it sounds different from committed or promise. I resolved to do something truly different. Stop setting myself up for failure. This is an expression to set oneself, in this case, myself, up for, and then something, commonly failure, but you can also set yourself up for success. So this means to put yourself in a position where failure or success is likely. It's the likely outcome. So what would that look like? Well, maybe expecting to speak without making mistakes only sets you up for failure. So it sets you up, it prepares you, it makes failure the likely outcome because it's not realistic to speak without making mistakes. I still make mistakes. So how is that realistic for you? So don't set yourself up for failure, but you can set yourself up for success by saying it's okay if I make mistakes. So that could be a way you set yourself up for success.
Are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers from TV, movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English, expand your vocabulary with natural expressions, and learn advanced grammar easily. Plus, you'll have me as your personal coach. You can look in the description for the link to learn more, or you can go to my website and click on Finally Fluent Academy. Now let's continue with our lesson.
Now, I sit down during the first week of January and list the things I did last year that made me feel good. So instead of good, you could use the word feel happy, the adjective, not the comparative adjective. What's the comparative adjective of good? Pop quiz for you. The comparative adjective of good is better. You knew that, right? Better. So you could also say happy as the adjective, and then the comparative adjective is happier. Notice that spelling change. At the end, we change Y-E-R to I-E-R. This is just a spelling change. Happier. Happy, happier. Now let's review sit down. So of course, right now I am sitting down. It's the opposite of standing. But in this case, when she says, I sit down during the first week of January and list the things, it really means she allocates the time. She spends the time. She sets aside the time to do this activity, because a lot of people do these activities while they are sitting down. But it's not about literally sitting down, it's about allocating the time. In a workplace context, it's very common to say, let's sit down next week and discuss the project timeline. Again, it's not about literally or physically sitting. So it's more, let's meet next week. Let's schedule a meeting next week. Let's spend the time doing this action. So it's very commonly used. Once I'm done with my list, I go into my calendar and schedule time for more of these activities. But I don't haphazardly. Repeat after me, haphazardly, haphazardly. This is an adverb. Adverbs are easy to identify. They often end in ly, and they modify verbs. So it's modifying how she picks or selects a few dates. And she doesn't do this haphazardly. And this means randomly or without a plan. So just, let's do it on Monday, but without really thinking if Monday is the best day to do this. So you can say she threw the items on the desk haphazardly. Adverbs are flexible. So you can have it at the very end here. You can also put it right before the verb. She haphazardly threw the items on the desk, because this tells you how the action took place. If you're ever not sure where to put an adverb, the safest spot is before the verb. She haphazardly threw the items on the desk. So without any order, just randomly. Now, the opposite of haphazardly picking dates could be her next point. I choose them strategically. So this is an adverb as well. So if something is done strategically, it means with a plan, with a lot of conscious thought and effort. Of course, you're learning English strategically, right? Let's continue. And I set a reminder in my calendar to block off the time needed to do research on my list. So notice here, to block off the time needed. This could be another way of saying to allocate or spend the time or set aside the time. Now, block off is specific to a calendar, because if you have available slots, you can think of them as available appointment times, and someone books that time, then nobody else is able to book that time. So that would be what block off means. It means you allocate it, but then also because it's allocated, nobody else can select that time. So it's unavailable for any other purpose. So if you say, I blocked off, past simple, I blocked off my afternoon, and this is the reason why, so I can finish the presentation. You can think of this like having a do not disturb sign on your office or on your computer, on your phone. That time is not available for any other purpose. By doing this, so by blocking off the time, by doing this, I am future-proofing my happiness by planning things I know will feed it. What form of the word is this here? So we talked about how happy is an adjective, happier is a comparative adjective. So what form of the word is this? You can always look for clues, because here my clue is my happiness. We use possessives in front of nouns. So this is the noun form of the word. It's referring to it as a something. Let's review future proofing. If you future-proof something, it means you ensure it in the future. So you might say improving your English is a great way to future-proof your career. So it's actually used as a verb. Now notice the conjugation is on proof, to future-proof your career. So this means to ensure your career, so to have, to keep your career in the future, to future-proof your career. I'm future-proofing my happiness, ensuring I am happy in the future by planning things I know will feed it. Now, of course, this isn't to do with providing it food, but you can think of it as providing it nutrients, providing it what it needs to grow or thrive. And the it is happiness. So you can think of it as ensure my happiness grows or thrives. Let's continue. My process made me wonder whether other people had found interesting ways of thinking about resolutions. Remember, resolutions are goals that you set in the new year. So any other time, you can simply refer to them as goals, thinking about goals. So I reached out to a few experts. This is a must-know phrasal verb you should have in your vocabulary. If you reach out to someone, it means you contact someone for a specific purpose. So the purpose here is to learn about happiness and future-proofing your happiness, becoming happier. So I reached out, I contacted, reached out, but notice you contact someone, but you reach out to someone. So it's always important to look at the grammar, because you would just contact someone. So I contacted a few experts, but I reached out to a few experts. I highlighted the to so you know it's with the expression. So I reached out to a few experts whose work I admire and asked them how they approach resolution season. So outside of January, which is resolution season, the middle of December until the beginning of January, or all of December even, outside of that, you can simply say how they approach goal setting. You could also say how they approach setting goals. Now, what's the difference between these two? Yes, I've reversed the word order, but what is the significance of that? How they approach goal setting, this is a something, this is a noun. How they approach setting goals, this is the verb. How they approach doing something. And it's in the gerund form because you need that verb ing. So this is the noun, something, and this is the verb doing something. Let's continue and hear what these experts had to say. Dan Harris, who is one of these experts, Dan Harris, the host of the 10% Happier. Oh, notice 10% happier. So you're going to increase your level of happiness by 10%. 10% Happier podcast. So this is the name of the podcast. Dan Harris told me that making something meaningful to you is a great way to actually get it done. So to get something done, this is a casual way of saying to actually do it. Get it done. Get it done. This is commonly used as an expression to start something. So if you discuss a plan and then you are ready to start the plan, you can say, let's get it done. So you would say it with some enthusiasm or some commitment. Let's get it done. Or you can use this as a task. Please get this done. Whatever this is, please get the marketing strategy done by 5 o'clock. So you can use this as a task as well. And again, you could also simply say, do it. When he's trying to lock in a new habit. So the he is this expert, Dan Harris. When he's trying to lock in a new habit, if you lock something in, it means you secure it. But if in this case, the context of securing a habit means you make that habit become a part of your daily routine. So it becomes habitual. It becomes something you frequently do. It becomes part of your daily routine. When he's trying to lock in, secure a new habit at the start of the year or any other time, he tries to understand the why behind his goal. So for you, why do I want to become fluent? Why do I want to improve my confidence speaking English? So those are the questions you could ask, the why behind his goal. Next, I reached out, and now you understand why this to is here. Or you could say, I contacted Oliver Berkman, but reach out to is very common. It sounds more conversational, more natural than saying contacted, which sounds more formal and almost official. Next, I reached out to Oliver, or I contacted Oliver Berkman, a productivity expert. He said resolutions, again, goals, can sometimes make people feel worse, not better. And now you know better is the comparative adjective of good. Feel worse, not better. We often expect massive changes done perfectly from the outset. Oh, does that remind you of anyone? Yourself with your English? And from the outset, this means from the very beginning that you start. So if your goal is to speak confidently in meetings, you expect to do this perfectly from the very first time you open your mouth and speak in a meeting. That would be from the outset, the beginning of the action. There's a common expression as well, from the get-go. Have you heard that? From the get-go, get-go. It means the exact same thing. So now you have two new expressions, from the outset, from the, and then if you use get-go, you also need the from the get-go, from the outset. He explained, he being this expert, Oliver Berkman, explained. So whatever you hope to do in the new year, let yourself start off poorly. So start off is another way of begin. Let yourself begin or simply start. You don't need the off here. Start, begin, or start off. But if you use begin, you wouldn't say begin off. It only works with start. Now, if you used your new expression, you would need to change the sentence structure because you do something from the outset. So in this case, let yourself do poorly, let yourself speak poorly from the outset, from the get-go. Let yourself start off poorly. 10 minutes spent very badly jogging, he said, is just infinitely more valuable. So infinitely more valuable is the strongest degree. Extremely, extremely, extremely. It's the highest degree possible. Infinitely more valuable than all the most amazing plans to do it perfectly. Let's talk about spend time doing. A lot of students get confused with this construction because you spend time doing, you need that verb in ing, you need your gerund. Now, the time happened to come first here. 10 minutes spent jogging. I would just ignore this for now. Honestly, I think the placement of this is a little awkward. I would personally place it after jogging, but that's just a minor thing if you're wondering about that. 10 minutes spent jogging very badly. So 10 minutes spent doing something. You could say, this is the past simple. I spent the whole afternoon. So this is your time reference, the whole afternoon. I spent the whole afternoon doing, so your verb in ing, cleaning the garage. I spent the whole afternoon cleaning the garage. Now, we commonly use this in the present perfect for plans that you've already made. I'm spending the weekend planning my trip. Maybe I say this on Wednesday, but this is a plan that's already arranged. I'm spending the weekend and then doing something, planning my trip. Or let's spend the base verb, let's spend the meeting preparing, this is this doing, preparing for the presentation. Very common expression used in the past, present continuous, and the base verb among other verb tenses. And just remember, you need that gerund, your verb in ing. Now, the way he wrote it, X amount of time doing something, you can absolutely say that. It sounds a little more poetic. Maybe you use it more for tips or advice or an inspirational quote. So you might encourage your friend and say, a night spent preparing for a job interview can set you up for success. Remember this phrase, to set you up for something. This means ensure that something, prepare for that something. A night spent preparing for a job interview can set you up for success. Isn't that the truth? And that's the end of the article. So what I'll do now is I'll read the article from start to finish, and this time you can focus on my pronunciation. How to stay happier this year. I'm not immune to the allure of resolutions, especially health-related ones. For about 25 Januaries, I vowed to drink 8 glasses of water a day. And for 25 years, I failed. Usually, I'd make it only a few days before I reverted to drinking water the old-fashioned way, when I was thirsty. A few years ago, though, I resolved to do something truly different. Stop setting myself up for failure. Now, I sit down during the first week of January and list the things I did last year that made me feel good. Once I'm done with my list, I go into my calendar and schedule time for more of these activities. But I don't haphazardly pick a few dates. I choose them strategically, and I set a reminder in my calendar to block off the time needed to do research on my list. By doing this, I am future-proofing my happiness by planning things I know will feed it. My process made me wonder whether other people had found interesting ways of thinking about resolutions. So I reached out to a few experts whose work I admire and asked them how they approach resolution season. Dan Harris, the host of the 10% Happier podcast, told me that making something meaningful to you is a great way to actually get it done. When he's trying to lock in a new habit at the start of the year or any other time, he tries to understand the why behind his goal. Next, I reached out to Oliver Berkman, a productivity expert. He said resolutions can sometimes make people feel worse, not better. We often expect massive changes done perfectly from the outset, he explained. So whatever you hope to do in the new year, let yourself start off poorly. 10 minutes spent very badly jogging, he said, is infinitely more valuable than all the most amazing plans to do it perfectly.
Do you want to keep learning English with the news? If you do, put let's go, put let's go in the comments. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And here's another lesson I know you'll love, so make sure you watch it now.